Jason. Well, this was your idea, so you get to do your top 4 first.
Well, I'll start with number 4, X. From Ty West, A24. I love this movie, dude. Seeing the previews, you had this whole Texas Chainsaw Massacre look and feel when you first saw the previews of this movie. You're like, whoa, what the hell? Is somebody actually going to do Texas Chainsaw Massacre, right? You don't know where it's going to go, but
you're a fucking sex symbol.
It's great, and I love where this is going. I did watch Pearl. I finished it.
Yeah.
As Eric was giving me shit earlier in this episode about it.
It's not about what I want anymore, Mitzi.
I did finish it, and it might come up in something else. Definitely enjoyed this film. It was a good one. It was nice to see something pretty cool this year. And it was horror related. Good kills in that movie, too. Very inventive. I love it.
I see one goddamn up horror picture.
All right. What's your number 4, Josh?
Oh, we're going to me?
Yeah, we're going to go to you. We're going to make Eric go last.
My number 4 is a return to form for Mr. David Cronenberg. I'm going with Crimes of the Future.
I'd say Crimes of the Future is about the crimes committed by the human body against itself. I
have not seen it. That's why I want to see it. Now Josh is making me really want to go watch it.
Listen, I watched it last night.
Dude!
For you. Because you told me to.
And I was excited to see David Cronenberg doing David Cronenberg shit again. So it was definitely a great experience in the theater for me. I know a lot of people didn't care for it, but I was so happy walking out of the theater because it was like watching classic Cronenberg.
Surgery is the new sex.
And since Jason hasn't seen it, I won't go too far into it. I won't say it's not a little confusing of a movie, but, that's what a lot of people have had some gripes about. But I love the noir aspect of it. I love the weird body horror stuff. It's just typical Cronenberg. And I had to put him at my number 4.
Yeah, I liked it. It's not on my top 4, but I definitely enjoyed it. It does feel like an older Cronenberg film. He does return to his roots of flesh and technology, and
long live the new flesh.
You could put it in a double bill of Existence, and this would be great. But also Videodrome fits in there a little bit.
Naked Lunch as well. Like Naked Lunch.
Well, I haven't seen Naked Lunch yet, and now I want to more than I did. That's been on my list for a long time. Josh was nice enough to give it to me. So I have it. And it's definitely going to be watched soon. Kayla was scratching her head for the majority of the film, as was I. But I had more experience with Cronenberg than Kayla did, my wife. And she was like, what is going on in this movie? And I'm like, well, this is kind of expected.
That's part of my love for Cronenberg. Is most people would watch it and go, what the fuck are we watching, bruh?
Yeah. And just... But you know what? This morning we were talking about it. I'm making coffee and we're talking about the movie and we're talking about ideas that it brought up. And we're talking, it definitely has some really interesting ideas. I don't know if it would have made my top 4, even having just seen it, if I felt like it totally nailed all those ideas, but there are some great ideas in there. It's definitely an interesting watch and one of the better movies I saw this year for sure.
Well, then what's your number 4, Eric?
My number 4 is The Northman.
I will avenge you, father. I will save you, mother. I will kill you if you live.
The movie that I forgot I watched.
Yes.
the movie Jason watched last year, apparently.
Yeah, 3 years ago I watched this movie.
It was from earlier in the year.
It's not a bad movie.
It didn't do well. I was disappointed that it didn't do well. It was interesting. It looked great. The performances were great. The imagery was great. I think it deserves a nod. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I mean, it's just violent. It looks excellent. I love all the stuff on location. Looks great.
The new version of Conan.
It definitely borrows from Conan, I have to say.
Sure. Which, is that so wrong?
No, it's not wrong at all. It's better than the Conan remake.
Absolutely it is. It's a better Conan remake than that freaking piece of garbage.
Oh, yeah. I actually went to the theater and saw the Jason Momoa
You saw
Conan.
the Jason Momoa, and I like me some Jason Momoa. He's cool, but not that movie.
It was our intention to try to make the most historically accurate Viking movie we possibly could.
The Vikings were all over. There were so many great stories because it was important that it had the kind of the laconic tone of the old Icelandic sagas.
There's a poetry to the language of this. It almost feels like Beowulf.
I will avenge you, father.
I think it's an underrated movie of the year.
I can agree. It's not going to make my top 4, unfortunately, but I like how they sort of play with morality in that movie a little bit too.
Yep.
Like that's really what ended up hooking me in the end of that movie.
And you could absolutely watch it thinking there's supernatural elements in there, and you could watch it without supernatural elements. You could really look at it 2 different ways.
I think maybe Eggers coming off The Lighthouse may have played into, like, I don't know, The Lighthouse was such a different movie than this. But I love The Lighthouse.
I did too. It's clearly not for everyone.
Exactly.
Lighthouse, that's a weird watch, man.
yeah. It's not for everyone. I think this is more approachable than The Lighthouse if you haven't seen it.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Jason, what's your number 3?
Terrifier 2.
Stop! Please, stop, please!
Hey, buddy.
I have not seen this.
Make sure you watch it with your wife and daughter.
Yeah. Don't watch
so.
that movie with anybody you love.
With anyone you care about.
You don't want to scar them for life.
Show this movie to your worst enemy, therefore they never want to be around you again.
They're like, you are so fucked up. I'm not fucking with you. It's just gory fucking fun. Art the Clown is here to stay. He is a new horror icon. You must, and this is coming from a guy that watches almost nothing but horror movies.
The gatekeeper himself.
I'm just telling you, dude. He is, dude. I love me some Art the Clown, man. I mean, I've seen All Hallows Eve and all the other ones with before Terrifier.
It's a bit surprising considering how you were kind of lukewarm on Terrifier when we decided we wanted to talk about it.
Yeah, I was kind of like. I just said I didn't think everybody wanted to make him a horror icon after that movie, after one movie.
But I think like, people saw something in Art that maybe you didn't at that time. But I agree with you. It's not on my top 4. It just got edged out. But it was one of the most fun experiences I've had in the theater. I've genuinely experienced someone getting up and walking out of a movie right next to me. Watching that movie.
Throw up in their popcorn.
Nobody's threw up from what I could tell, but they definitely left. A couple of different people left. But yeah, it's obvious. I mean, I have him on my shelf right back here. He brings that genuine, almost like Freddy Krueger quality to something more modern.
But with the silence of Michael Myers.
Exactly.
Because he never says a damn word.
The whole creepy silent mime gimmick. I mean, it's very effective, and the blood is a nice touch also.
Honestly, the most fun of both of those movies is watching Art be Art. But this one is better in every aspect. The acting is better, the story is better, the gore is better. You know, we talked about in our episode, that's an audio episode if you want to go back and listen to it on Apple Podcast or Spotify, whichever you prefer to get your podcast from. Watching him do what he does is super fun. And that it had one of the most grotesque death scenes we'd ever seen, and this movie manages to top it, I will say.
Yeah,
there's a death in this movie that definitely gives the first one a run for its money. So if you thought,
having seen the first one and not the second one, that's definitely saying something.
I said, it is horror gore comedy. It's horror-gomedy. It's just what it is. I just invented a new freaking subgenre.
I also don't want to take away from the lead actress in the movie, because that was another thing that was lacking in the first movie, is you didn't really have a heroine to go with, because they split it up halfway throughout the movie. This one has a solid, awesome character that you follow throughout the entire thing, and she's great. So you definitely want to see her get through the movie, and it's definitely an improvement over Terrifier, but I still love Terrifier.
Definitely a movie that I enjoyed. I mean, we've been waiting for how long? I mean, this got hung up in the COVID delay and everything else. I mean, this movie was supposed to have been out last year sometime.
And honestly, a lot of people are complaining about the runtime.
That did throw me a bit. A movie like that doesn't need to be that long, but
I didn't feel the runtime, but I could definitely, especially as an editor now, I could definitely see where it was you could have cut that out. But it never doesn't hold your attention, in my opinion. Like it uses its runtime wisely. It's just obvious there's some scenes they could have cut down a little bit.
All right, that's my number 3. Josh.
My number 3 was Jason's number 4. It's X from Ty West.
Because it is possible to make a good, dirty movie.
He takes everything great from Texas Chainsaw Massacre and makes his own movie out of it.
Just when you thought you'd escape the slaughterhouse.
Yeah, I have to agree. He captures something from that original Texas Chainsaw Massacre that we all know that I love. It feels like a better Texas Chainsaw remake than any Texas Chainsaw
It's Texas Chainsaw Massacre with a compelling story in it.
Yeah,
as
it's
well.
like he gets it on a level. And understand, I wasn't like a big Ty West fan before this movie. I like it. It's not on my top 4. I'll say it's in my honorable mentions. He's doing something very interesting with that and Pearl, and I'm very excited for Maxine. And he's captured something here. He's got a good idea. Like,
and the performances he's getting out of these actors in these movies are it's not like performances you would normally see in horror movies, you know?
Right. For lack of a better term, it's elevated. And yeah, Mia Goth, obviously the standout there, but even the supporting cast were pretty great.
Kid Cudi is awesome in that movie.
Kid Cudi was great. Yeah. I was like, Kid Cudi. And then I'm like watching the movie. I'm like, damn, he's kind of killing it here. And like, this is good stuff.
I was born for this line of work.
Killing it. Get it? But yeah, that's my number 3. And I was shocked to find out that they were going to have a sequel or a prequel to X so soon. And then you get the reveal that Maxine's coming out next year. And it's one of those, it's like, you've got to respect the creativity that went into this as well. It's like you planned this to happen the way it did. And it's not something they've ever really done with horror movies, you know?
Well, it's the execution too. You have the idea. And I think, other movies have had the ideas and they haven't, like we say, stuck the landing. Like people have said, it sticks the landing. It's great. And, gosh, I just want to mention my favorite part of the movie is her swimming with the alligator.
Like builds tension like nothing you've ever seen, man.
That her swimming with the alligator, and that's before you see what the alligator can do in that movie, and then you also learn more about the alligator in Pearl. And after watching Pearl, thinking of that scene where she's just casually swimming and she doesn't know it's there. Holy shit. That scene is so beautifully shot, beautifully framed.
And all the Easter eggs in the movie as well. Like they they foreshadow exactly what's going to happen to everybody in the movie as you watch it.
Oh, people's eyes are gonna pop out of their damn skulls when they see this.
You don't really catch that the first time around. Again, we're back to how many times you've watched a movie sort of thing. You start to notice all that stuff in the background of that movie, and again, it's like, God damn, this is a good fucking horror movie.
Yep. Great stuff pays off. It's planned out. It's executed. The performances are good. It's really it's a surprising like thing from this year. One of the bigger surprises. It's funny because I'll say neither of those movies made my top 4 list, but
wow,
if you were to put them together, like if I could pair them together, they would make my list. So,
well, what is your number 3?
My number 3 has come up in this conversation already. My number 3 is Watcher.
But no one has really noticed before.
The one with Micah Monroe?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Oh!
All right.
Hot take! Hit the button, Josh. Hot take! Here, you're about to get your shit back now. He's giving it to you. He's what you gave him earlier about that. He's giving it back.
Please.
Rock it out.
Please tell me what was so great about this movie.
Yeah. Why am I putting this above X and Pearl? You ask.
Wow.
I do think that she's excellent.
There's this guy that lives across the street, and he's always looking over here.
Looking over here, how?
Micah Monroe, and I think that the mood of the film, the slow burn of the film, it kind of gave me like a what's his name?
Hitchcock.
No. Well, yeah, sure, Hitchcock, but also
De Palma.
Huh?
De Palma.
Sure, De Palma, but also why can't I think of his name? This is brutal. Anyway, the guy that Jason never wants to watch with us.
Argento,
yes.
Argento.
Yeah, Argento, a little Hitchcock, a little De Palma. The mystery throughout really pulled me in. Each scene, each separate segment, the segment on the train, the segment in the movie theater, the segment in the apartment, all these different moments really clicked with me. I don't know. I keep wanting to call it The Watcher, but Watcher, really start to finish, I was just pulled in, and I was really just vibing with the whole thing the whole time. And I think Micah Monroe, is that how you say it?
I believe so.
She's great. For the year, I couldn't leave it off the list. I had to put it on there.
Okay.
Clearly you disagree.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
Let's just say also Chloe Okuno, the director, I think is beautifully shot. The whole movie's beautiful to look at. That's another part of it. Like, cinematography is wonderful. I love this city that they're in. I don't know what city it's in. I forget, but Bucharest.
It just was not a movie that captured my attention all that well.
Yeah.
I actually went to the theater and saw it. I was very interested in seeing the movie, but it lacked on every aspect of that stuff for me. It just wasn't a memorable movie, and
imagine that.
Didn't realize that kind of a movie could make it over another kind of a movie. I'll just say that.
Hello, darling. Any reason in particular you're standing in the dark?
But the fact you put a movie that he said he was disappointed in, you put that above X.
Jason, I need your number 2, please.
Can't believe Eric. You know what? We haven't mentioned this movie at all through this whole thing.
Probably means it's on one of our lists.
That's kind of the whole point, Jason.
But it hasn't come up on anything of excited or whatever we've been talking about tonight.
Sure.
But
the anticipation's killing me, buddy.
Or even Eric.
What is it?
My number 2 is Prey.
Oh, okay.
Didn't even make Eric's list.
It did not make my list, no.
Yeah, but dude,
it's on the short list though. It's on my
honorable mentions as well.
Yeah, I put it. What was on mine? I had 2 movies I was fighting over for number 2, but I went ahead and put this on there. Dude, it was so good after all these years to get a good Predator movie.
I agree. I really liked Prey.
Yeah.
Not only that, it's made by Disney, of all people.
I know, right? Isn't that crazy?
Disney made an awesome Predator movie. I'm kind of looking forward.
Kind of. They didn't really make it. They just own who made it.
They own who makes it
now. yeah. Their name is on the. It's out. Their name is printed at first. So, but
they bought who made it.
I think it's the Cherokee tribe. I think is what we're dealing with. I can't remember. I'm probably wrong. Greatly shot. Love the new Predator look. The actress, what's her name? Amber Midthunder that plays.
They're Comanche.
Comanche.
I feel like that's worth correcting. Yeah.
Comanche. Yeah, Comanche. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for correcting that.
You're welcome. Anytime.
I love this whole movie. A lot of people had a problem with it having this small girl, be the main person of this movie.
Who had a problem with this, Jason?
I didn't have a problem with it.
I don't recall anyone having a problem with it.
No, I read about it all over the internet, dude.
I think Danny Glover was the only person who was like, what is going on with this young girl?
I definitely rank this as probably either my second or tied for second Predator movie.
I think I agree. Yeah, it's probably my second favorite. I haven't seen the second Predator movie in a long time, but
Predator 2 would still stay there for me just because I watched it so much when I was younger. And
oh yeah, I did too.
Right.
You are one ugly mother. Motherfucker.
I've only watched Prey once, so I don't have that. I don't have the same nostalgia.
You don't have the second watch action. I should say I had that listed as my number 5. Or sorry, my number 6. Prey was my number 6. My number 5 was X, Josh, if that makes you feel any better.
It doesn't.
No.
Okay. And Pearl was probably number 7.
It still doesn't make me feel better, but okay.
He's like, fuck you and your Watcher movie.
This guy hates Watcher, dude. He does not like that resonated with me the way it did.
Number 2 for me is going to be...
Nope!
Jordan
Excellent.
Peele's Nope. I don't understand why people don't like this movie. I think this movie's fucking amazing.
I agree. It's excellent.
I think the characters are great. I think the story is great. I think it is a fun blockbuster horror movie. Yes,
Definitely.
I think it's a fucking horror movie. A lot of people are harping on that too. It might not be your traditional horror movie, but it's a goddamn horror movie. There's some horrific shit in this movie, but
Oh yeah, there is. There's plenty of horror in that movie.
I've watched it twice, so I've got my second watch in on this one. I think, actually, no. I've seen Nope 3 times. I went to the theater twice and just watched it with Jenny not too long ago.
So you're confident with your answer.
I am confident with my answer.
Is that your final answer?
I have no problem with people saying that this is a movie that's taking inspiration from Jaws. You definitely, I wouldn't say it's a ripoff of Jaws.
No.
I just think it's using the good things from that movie and making their own thing with it, a lot like Ty West did with X. And I'm on board for it, man. If you wanna take the stuff that I love about my older movies and give me something fresh with that, I'm on game. I don't want you to remake Jaws. Don't fucking do that. That's not what I want. I want shit like Nope. I don't remake Texas Chainsaw Massacre again like you did this year and it was not good. Do things like X.
They didn't remake it.
Well, remake, reboot, whatever.
All right, I'm just saying.
Nope is just the most fun I've had at the movies this year was watching Nope. So had to be at the top of my list, but not quite the number 1 spot.
My number 2 is The Batman.
This is the movie I'm surprised has not come up until now. So
Yeah, I love Batman. First of all, we're comic book guys.
Yes.
We're all comic book guys. We all love Batman. I love The Long Halloween. The idea that we were going to get a gritty, a detective Batman. You could argue how much detective we get.
World's greatest detectives!
I thought the look of it was excellent. The music was excellent. The performances were great. Robert Pattinson did a great job, which was surprising. I knew he would be good as Bruce Wayne, but I like emo Bruce Wayne. I think that makes sense. I couldn't quite give it the top notch because that third act with the flooding and all that business, it just didn't quite hit. I just love being in that world. It felt like Long Halloween. It felt very noir.
I loved the noir aspect of it. I loved how dark it was. And I have to say, the fucking car chase in that movie is insane, dude.
Hell yeah.
I love the car chase in that movie.
Yeah, we dial it back. We get it down to feeling where just, and this is where comics like The Long Halloween or like Year One pull Batman all the way back to the street level guy where he's so vulnerable. You're not fighting Darkseid here. You know what I mean? Like, if this is Batman, it's a guy and he is really vulnerable as a human being. And that's my favorite style of Batman. We already mentioned how we love Batman the Animated Series. That's the strength level of Batman I prefer. I don't want my Batman standing up to Darkseid or who, or
Parademons and Steppenwolf and
or Doomsday. Batman shouldn't be anywhere near that shit. He would be annihilated in a heartbeat. I still have fun with that version of Batman, the Justice League Batman, but I like a street level Batman, and this movie delivers there. Really love the movie. I'm excited for the next one. I don't understand, or I hope they don't try to mix it with the rest of the DCU. We'll see how that all pans out.
The other thing about the Batman is that the voiceover at the beginning, like, normally wouldn't work, and they make that shit work in this movie.
Oh, that's one of the best parts of the movie.
They don't know where I am. They think I'm hiding in the shadows.
Yeah, that's a great concept, and it's excellent.
All right, Jason, let's hear it. What was your favorite movie you saw in 2022?
It was The Batman.
I knew it.
I'm like, Eric, you're ruining my number one.
Sorry. Tell us why you like it.
Everything that we just said for the last 20 minutes. So I don't have to say it again. The one thing I'm going to push farther is the fucking Batmobile itself.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Muscle car.
Dude, when he cranks that thing up on screen, and I've watched this movie probably 5 or 6 times this year, every time that part comes up, surround sound all the way up, and it rattles the fucking out. Car chase, like you said, and like you said, he's street level Batman. That fight at the beginning of the movie with the so-called little Joker gang looking thing, that fight is fucking phenomenal. When he walks, like you said, they get this whole lead up of I'm in the darkness and they don't know if I'm there, and then all of a sudden you hear the footsteps and he walks out. You're like, oh shit. I mean, and he's fighting. Yeah. I mean, it's just a guy in a suit fucking street fighting, and it looks great because he's getting hit.
Yeah.
He's taking hits. He's not just fucking kung fuing and knocking everybody down. No, he's not.
He's not coming up out of the ceiling and then out of the ground and all the kind of crazy.
He's not crawling across the ceiling real quick like a vampire.
That's one of my favorite scenes in the movie is when he does the glider out of something, or I forget what he's gliding out of, but he does that and then crashes into the
squirrel suit thing.
Yeah. And Batman can crash into shit and get hurt. Like
it's when he escapes the police station.
Yeah.
Right.
He's running out.
I feel like for comic book fans, that scratched an itch that like Batman fans hadn't seen on film quite that way yet. Like it maybe for the general public, it didn't feel all that groundbreaking, but I think for comic book fans, I don't want to speak for all comic book fans, but for me as a comic book fan, it gave me a version of Batman that I hadn't quite seen in live action yet. It did feel like the animated series a bit to me.
I even felt like it was paying some homage to the 60s Batman. Like when you've got Batman walking around with Gordon talking over a crime scene, and like it reminds me of them being in the office talking with each other about what's going on.
I get more Batman Gordon from the animated series with that, looking at a crime scene. And then like that's what I get more of, and his relationship with Gordon. Gordon felt more like the animated series Gordon. That's another way the animated series, I think, influenced things quite a bit is Gordon.
Robert Pattinson, when everybody was threw a fucking shit fit that the sparkly vampire was going to be Batman.
I don't know. I mean, I get that people still make that association, but Robert Pattinson has gotten past the Twilight thing at this point.
Yeah, but people still remember him from that. But he's done some great movies. Dude, we just talked about that movie, The Lighthouse.
Mm-hmm.
Lighthouse?
Holy shit. Yeah, damn. Yeah, the man's went on to do some pretty decent movies. He's not sparkly vampire for the rest of his life,
I mean, he was just in Tenet. He did a Good Time, which was crazy.
Good Time is awesome. And
Good Time is excellent.
We just rewatched Tenet again, and I have to say, every time I watch that movie, I like it more. And
interesting.
Robert Pattinson's good in that as well.
Yeah, he is good in that.
But that's my number one. It was Eric's number two, The Batman. Great movie this year. Loved it. Go ahead.
Well, it's not on my list. I'm sorry to say. It's not my number one.
I think we all know what Josh's number one is.
My number one movie of 2022. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once is the right answer.
So, Eric, tell us how you agree with Josh's answer.
It's a great movie, Josh. Tell us why.
This movie it gets me on an emotional level, on an entertainment level, and just like Eric said, like the filmmaking in general in this movie. But it reminds me of a lot of movies that I loved as a kid and as an adolescent growing up watching and falling in love with movies. There's obvious hints at The Matrix in there, Terminator, all the Kung Fu movies I watched as a kid is all thrown in there. You've got the return of Data, and I don't know how to say his name properly, so I'm not going to say it at all. But his performance in this movie moved me to tears, man. I loved seeing him make a comeback in this movie.
Not Data, Short Round.
Yeah.
Hey, you cheat, Dr. Jones, you cheat.
I'm willing to jump on this grenade. K Hugh Kwan. Oh, I see why you didn't want to say it. Jonathan K. Kwan is what this is also known as. Anyway, yeah,
But
either way, we love
he
that
is
guy.
great in the movie. I agree.
But and I honestly am not a big Michelle Yeoh fan. Like, I have not seen many of her movies.
See, that blows me away because I love Michelle Yeoh. I think she's amazing. Not that I'm like an authority on her films or anything, but I love her. She's part of why I was excited to watch this movie.
I mean, she's in Crouching Tiger and a lot of movies that I admittedly haven't seen. And Troy from Not a Bomb is cussing at his.
Oh, This dude knows every goddamn movie she's in. He's gonna be pissed.
It's a movie about the multiverse that I have no problem understanding. Like, I'm never at a moment in this movie where I don't understand what's happening. And that's why I think it's just like you made a movie that's smart and it's not smart enough, or it's not like outsmarting me. Like, I can actually understand what you're doing here.
Like Tenet?
Like Tenet.
I think this is the end of a beautiful friendship. But for me, it's just the beginning.
Like Primer. I still don't know what the fuck's happening in Primer. So
I liked Primer.
You give me a movie that's complex like that and I can follow it. That gives me more reason to just go along on the ride. And the performances in it are great. I felt the influence of like Big Trouble in Little China in there. It has that same feel of people getting thrown into a situation where it's like, what's happening right now? And they have to adapt to it.
We may be trapped.
And the fact that you go through this whole multiverse of people in that movie and all the emotions that go through each person within that multiverse, like, it just all resonated with me. Like, I guess the watcher resonated with Eric.
Why do I feel the hate when he says that?
And the story in this is something that I far more enjoy and hits me on a personal, emotional level than anything going on in Mad Max Fury Road. And that's all I'll say.
Oh, man, y'all are just going at it tonight. Let's put the gloves on. Let's beat the shit out of each other.
That's from a different year, so I'm not gonna harp on Fury Road. But it's an interesting comparison, actually. Even though they're both movies that we're comparing because they're movies that we're passionate about and we disagree on. They have high goals. They have complex goals that they're going for, and they're really like shooting for the stars. And maybe it doesn't work for everybody, but you got to hand it to both movies for really going for it.
There's a scene where the two main characters are speaking throughout the multiverse, and what they're saying to each other, you feel the weight of that for me. And I love that it can do that and still make me laugh and have fun and show me things that I think are just absolutely mind-blowing on screen. Emotionally, this movie resonates with me more than Nope does. I find Nope to be a very fun, action-packed horror thriller movie, where this is more of a movie that just kind of connects personally for me. So, Eric, what's your number one? That's what I want to know.
All right. Well, I only watched about 20 movies, so there's lots of movies I missed. But when I thought of what I watched, the movies I did watch, and what movie I felt was the best, to me, it was Nope.
5 stars, Angel. 5 stars.
There you go.
Represent. I forgive you. It's all good.
You forgive Watcher now?
No, fuck that movie.
No.
What?
You mean that movie that ripped off the Voyeurs?
Okay, I watched it once. I'll watch it again for your sake, Eric.
Well, I'm not asking you to. If you want to, go for it. Nope. We've kind of talked about it, but it takes the best things about Jaws or maybe some other Spielbergian
Close Encounters,
things.
E.T.
Yep. I went into it blind. I didn't know what the twist was at all. The way the movie developed was great. I liked it thematically. I liked all the stuff with I forget the ape's name. I liked all that stuff. I think some people felt like some of that was maybe unnecessary.
It all has meaning. Every bit of it has meaning.
Yeah, I disagree. It's just as important as anything. I like what's going on thematically. I like what's going on the surface level. A lot of the humor worked for me.
It's shitty footage of exact proof that there's an alien civilization out there in the universe.
Keke Palmer was excellent. I was excited to see what she was going to do in that movie, and she definitely delivered.
And I'm Emerald Haywood. I direct, write, produce, act. I do a little singing on the side. Motorcycles, baby. Look, I make a mean grilled cheese. If you're looking for crafty, just holler at me.
I really hate that I'm saying this right now, but it's got somebody from one of Jason's favorite movies, The Crow, in it, who also has an awesome performance.
You're right.
I know he's in it. I know
You're right. You're right. He is great in it. Daniel Kaluuya is Daniel Kaluuya is also great in it. I want to mention specifically Stephen Yen is great. Keith David for
just a short little bit. Just a short
for what
little
he's
bit,
in it. It's great that he's there. And it's a fresh movie. I think that's why it's the top for me. Is it doesn't feel like any movie that I've seen in a while.
Right.
It really felt fresh in a way that no other movie did for me this year. So
you're saying that a comedian who turned into a writer and director actually got something right that Danny McBride needs to learn.
Yes. Yes, Jordan Peele is a better filmmaker than Danny McBride. I'll go
better
on record
writer.
Saying that.
Jordan Peele is 3 for 3 for me. I mean,
no, he is.
I really like Us. I love Get Out. The only reason I think Get Out is better than Nope is because of the undertones in that movie. There's a lot of undertones in this movie as well, but they don't hit like they do in Get Out. But I find Nope to be super fun in every aspect.
It's fun. It's thrilling. It really hits in a really the Spielbergian stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like it could be a Spielberg movie. Like it feels Spielbergian in a way that other movies that attempt that have not been able to do. And I think Jordan Peele is showing that he can really kind of do what he wants so far. Like
where we thought J.J. Abrams was going to be the next Spielberg, he turned out to be the next George Lucas, and now we've got Jordan Peele moving into Spielberg territory.
You might be right. I think it shows growth as well. Like, not just doing the same thing. Yes, there's horror elements, but he's able to show there's more going on with him than just another horror movie.
And there's again, it's hard to talk about because Jason hasn't seen the movie and I don't want to spoil anything, but
don't spoil it.
There's a scene in the horse stables that I think is crafted excellently.
Nope. Nope.
If you were to isolate it into a 5-minute short film, and that's all it was,
it would be super effective.
It would be incredibly effective and great. And it's Jordan Peele just saying I can do this. It doesn't even have to be what you think it is. And I can still do it excellently. So it's gotta be Nope for me.
All right. I'm happy now. I'm happy.
Good.
I'm just happy that somebody who was in The Crow made top 1 and 2 on your list.
Yeah, I regret saying that now.
I forgot that, and it was funny when I said that we were mentioning The Crow for him. But yeah, it's true. It's true.
Yeah, there you go.
The Crow roots run deep.
Honorable mention: Clerks 3 hit me on an emotional level, just like fucking Everything Everywhere All at Once. But
it was the best movie I ever saw.
But it's not over. Don't you want to see how it ends?
I trust the director.
Pearl, obviously, making honorable mentions. I mean, Mia Goth is amazing. Her performance in Pearl is Oscar worthy.
I mean, the end credits.
Yeah, that one shot of her just staring into the camera.
Yes. That fucking 10-minute no cutaway dialogue scene or monologue she does.
Yeah.
Holy Christ, dude. I was talking to Eric on the phone. I kept waiting for a cut to happen. And I kept waiting and I kept waiting. I was like, this fucking thing's never going to cut. It goes on forever. And she nails it, dude. Bones and All, honorable mention. I just watched it this past weekend.
Can't wait to see that.
It's really good. I actually saw The Menu and Bones and All was way better experience for me. Marcel the Shell with Shoes On is the most wholesome fucking movie. It will make you weep with joy. Speaking
of Jenny Slate.
Speaking of Jenny Slate, we mentioned her earlier. multiple times during this movie, looked over at Jenny and she was just weeping. And I was like, why are you crying? She's like, it's so good. So like, it's one of those that just sort of affected her on an emotional level. And it's really, really good. It's so wholesome. And I think it's great. A24 hitting it out of the park this year. And Men.
Oh, Men. Yeah,
I haven't seen that. I haven't seen that yet. It looks interesting.
It's definitely weird. I won't, no bones about it. It's a weird ass movie.
It is.
I got Blonde, the Marilyn Monroe movie.
Heard a lot of mixed reviews about that.
It's an okay watch. I like older movies, documentary type stuff, telling the people's story. It's definitely a good little watch. My honorable mention, I have Hellraiser as an honorable mention. I enjoyed it. It wasn't like out of the park. That's why it's not in my top 4, but I enjoyed watching it.
Got to finish that before I can really judge it.
I'm gonna throw a weird one out there. I think Josh watched it. Mad God on Shudder.
Ooh, I started that. I got about 5 or 10 minutes in and didn't finish it.
Dude, great. You tell me what it means at the end, please. Because me and Josh have just like literally after watching it, and he watched it, we're just like, what?
That's a great movie to pop a gummy and watch. I'll tell you
that. Dude, you're like,
gummy.
what the fuck am I watching? But it was still fun. Studio 666. It was just a fun movie to watch.
I have it as well. Yeah, it is for a fucking Foo Fighters horror movie. It's hilarious and I fucking love it.
And we get to see Carrie King from Slayer. Yeah, I've actually watched it again. It's a good little watch. I have Barbarian in here. We didn't mention that.
Yeah, Barbarian's on my honorable mentions as well. Definitely an interesting watch.
It would be on mine, but I forgot.
It had a lot of hype around it for me, and maybe that could have. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I don't, for as much hype as it got, I didn't feel like it lived up to that. But
I'm with you on there. I think it was overhyped. I went into it, and
I felt the same way. But I will say, like I told you guys when I saw it, like I'm not going to tell you anything because it's best to go in it without knowing anything.
And I did. I went into it, and I liked that it switched gears.
But you can't tell me that moment in the middle where it just completely switches lanes, that you weren't like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it is. And I appreciate it taking risks like that. And I wouldn't change it. I like it the way it is. I don't really have any changes.
Justin Long's great.
Justin Long's great.
Yeah, that's good.
I enjoyed him in it as well. Yeah. He's good.
The rest of them, Black Panther 2. And my last is The Black Phone. None of us mentioned that.
That was kind of a disappointment for me, honestly. I
enjoyed it.
It's an honorable mention for me. I got more out of it the second time I watched it. With Jenny this time, and I think it's a great Stephen King movie by Stephen King's son.
Yeah.
Yeah, it felt a little too Stranger Things for me. I will say I enjoyed Bodies, Bodies, Bodies.
I was a little underwhelmed when I walked out of the theater on it, but it didn't make any of my list, so it's just kind of one of those neutral movies for me.
Floating.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of where we're at right now, isn't it? I like Pete Davidson. I think he's funny, and I'd like to see more stuff.
Well, I just look like I fuck. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I look like I fuck. And that's the vibe I like to put out there.
Yeah.
No.
But like, I think he's actually funny. I think he's like, he's got legs. He needs to do some more stuff. So, and I guess he will be. So.
All right, everybody. Well, that's what we liked this year as far as new movies go, and what we disliked and what we were disappointed by. Let us know in the comments below. Do you like what we picked for our top 4 for this year? Let us know if you disagree. Let us know if you think some of our stuff that we were disappointed in. Explain to us why we should like it more, why we should give it a rewatch. We want to talk with you in the comments below. Again, thank you so much for an amazing year for us, getting us over the hump of 100 subscribers. We are absolutely grateful for everybody who's been watching our videos and paying attention to us. We are going to keep going as long as we can for you. Maybe do some new fun stuff here down the line. Thank you so much for a wonderful year. Make sure you visit our friends over at Cavity Colors. They sell this awesome shirt that I'm wearing right here. They sell this nice little mug right here with Tarman on it. Visit the link below. Use our code VHS Files Podcast to get 10% off your entire order with Cavity Colors. Visit our Redbubble store. Get some merch. Help support us in that way. It will help us out tremendously. We got some new designs coming this year. Some things I think are going to be fun. And if you like our show, please consider joining our Patreon every little bit helps, even if it's just the lowest tier, helps us keep this show going, and we want to keep it going as long as we can for you guys. So with that being said, thank you so much for a wonderful year. Guys, anything to say as we close out 2022 and move into 2023?
No.
All right. Thank you so much. Be kind.
Rewind. We love you. Mwah. I love all of you and my werewolf friends.
It's over. Everyone,
every day, all the time.
That's the one thing I will say is the title is a little tough. But Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. It's my favorite movie I saw this year.
It's the second worst named movie of the year. First being Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. Just call it Bodies, dude. Like, I was trying to talk to Kayla throughout the day, and I kept saying, like, you want to watch Bodies, Bodies, Bodies tonight? I was like, we're going to watch Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. And I was like, by the time we watched it, I was like, fuck. Like, I'm just calling it Bodies from this point. If we mention it, I don't want to say it again. Ugh. Bodies times 3. I don't want to say it 3 times every time.
Triple B.
And why is it even named 3 times like that? Is there something thematic about that? Doesn't make sense. Why there's no theme, there's no reason to make it that way. There's no commas either.